One last kind of category that I wanted to touch on is the idea of citizen science. And I know Elliot had brought up that you take some of your own measurements for rainfall and um, just like the importance of that. I guess maybe it's really valuable to have data points from individuals who are able to provide that kind of information. But can you speak to why that's something that you like to do and maybe why that's important and what that contributes?
I would, and as luck would have it, because I showed stuff from a lot of these, I threw this in as a slide at the end. So that one slide we were just looking at of, this is where these hurricanes came from in this month and in this month. That came from the first site here. You can look at all the past hurricane activity, all the sea level rise stuff. And, if you want to look at the numbers coming out of the gauge at Virginia Key, for example. That's actually in number 3 there, the tides and currents link. The sea level rise link, number 2, is that example that I showed where this is what floods during king tides now, and then this is what could flood during king tides in 2100. That comes from that site. And number 4 on here is COCORAS, which is the Community Collaborative Rain and Hail Study. That goes back to 1998. And what that is it's just your normal person who once a day reports rain or snow that they got. How much rain did you get in the last 24 hours? That's all it is a once a day. And if you have snow, you melt down your snow and, see how much you got. So I've participated in that since I've lived here, so that started in 2012 for me. So I've got once a day rainfall measurements at my house over 8 years, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff with those numbers.
What do? You just set like a measuring cup out in the yard or something, or
So they have a rain gauge that you have to get. It has to be the same rain gauge. So every one of these people, and they're not just in the U.S. anymore. They're in Canada and Mexico and the Bahamas, and I don't even know where else. But it's the same rain gauge. Every person has the same rain gauge. So that kind of takes care of that problem.
Gotcha. I'll leave my measuring cup in the kitchen then. So this, like, because people can just create their own data and submit that provides a unique perspective to what's happening, to have that sort of data that you otherwise couldn't get. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really important actually. And that's how COCORAS was born. There was a flash flood in 1997 in Fort Collins, Colorado. And just across the town of Fort Collins, there's a range of like 2 or 3 inches to about 14 inches. Unfortunately, the 14 inches fell on the west end of town, which it kind of, the whole city kind of sits up. So it's, you have the high end on the west, the low end on the east. So you had this crazy heavy rain over the west side near a creek. That resulted in an enormous flash flood, like really big deal. And so they were thinking, well, if only we had a clue, like how you have 3 to 14 inches across a relatively small town. So the idea came about, like, okay, we need to be able to get this kind of high density rain gauge network going so we can really see what's going on here. And that's how it originally began, but then it spread from state to state and then from country to country. And so now there's loads of reports. You can go to that website and see a map each day. And I'm on there each day as my own one dot out of all of them.
Very cool.